Hey guys, I see Alexander here again. I know it's been a while since I've done a video. Can I say I've actually been in the process of moving, so that's why, normally you see me sitting on my couch. Well, my couch is at my new place, so I'm sitting in my wingback chair today. So, anyways, well, there's a couple of topics I want to cover in this video. Firstly, of course, with World Cup coming up this weekend, I don't know if anyone's really playing this, or if you're, thinking about going down and watching it. Me, I wish I could. My buddy Travis actually is going to go down and watch it, so hope he brings back some good pictures and whatnot from World Cup for me to take a look at there. Well, I'm actually on that tangent. If any of you guys are into sort of the fantasy football, fantasy hockey type thing, there is actually a fantasy paintball league up. You get $25,000 salary cap, and you pick your players, and then you get points based on if they play a point that's won, if they're still alive at the end of the game, so on and so forth. You lose points if they take major or minor penalties, if they get hit off the break, what have you. And then you get 1 point for each dollar you're under the salary cap. If you're interested in that, I'll actually put a link in the description. I think the cutoff for putting together your team, I think, is tomorrow. I'm not too sure, but I'll look that up and link it. Personally, for me, let me just pull up my team. I'll tell you who I have, and then you guys can make a look, or if you got comments. Let's see. I have Ryan Greenspan, Dennis Golev, Greg Sewers, Chad George, Alex Frage, Brian McKenna, Nathan Schroeder, and Alex Martinez as my team. So if you got any comments on those guys, feel free to comment or post. And yeah, if you're watching the World Cup, if you're going to be watching it live streaming like I am, all I have to say is, like I said, my team is a mix of guys, but I'm just going to be watching and seeing what happens. Personally, I've got my eyes, for me, right now I've got my eyes probably on, I would say, probably Greenspan, Frage, and Dennis Golev, because what can I say, I'm a big fan of Dynasty. I always have been. A lot of people accuse me of being a fanboy, but I don't know, I've always been a big fan of the Dynasty guys from way back when, they were shooting shockers and all sorts of crazy crap. Well, I was also a fan of them when I first got into paintball. Actually, it was before they were shooting shockers. They were shooting angels. That was back in like 2002. So, call me out if you want, but I'm going to be watching them, and I'm going to try and watch the Russian Legion as well, as I'm a big fan of the Legion guys. And then, of course, what can I say? I'm a Canadian, so I gotta root for Edmonton Impact too. So, let's see what happens there. So now that that portion of my video is over, I just actually wanted to touch on the new Empire gun that's come out, the Empire Defender. So there was a video just released on YouTube, which if you search Empire Defender, you'll find it. Essentially what they've done with the Defender is they've taken a TM15 or a TM7 series platform, they stuck it into a bullpup design, so it's got a big fat stock, and then the trigger is forward, and it's got this sort of a loop behind the trigger. It has the same gas system. It's got the Relay ASA gas through grip regulator that way. It's got the whole shroud system, 2 different barrels, one with Apex, one that's standard. Both are free compatible. And then what's really neat about it is that instead of having a great big huge hopper sitting center, or what would be, I think, right feed on the TM7, TM15, what they did was they integrated an Empire Z2 loader actually into the back stock, so you dump paint in that into the back stock, and it's got a speed feed lid, and then it runs an actual tube, which to me, looking at some of the pictures, looks very similar to, say, a Q loader. The same idea where it's coming in that way via tube feed. It looks like a great system, very, very innovative, and the fact they made it out of magnesium means it's going to be an extremely light marker. Now, with that said, I just wanted to touch on the fact that I looked at what their price point was, and it's astronomical. They want $1,300 plus the taxes to buy one of these, and I'm looking at and what they're competing against. In that same price point in the Milsim world, you're up against the Die Dam, the SAR 12, any number of other relatively high-end guns that are basically, it took a speedball gun, stuck it into a Milsim body, and off you go. And basically my thoughts are that, okay, great, you want to integrate a loader? I'm all for it. I think that's a great idea. Taking the loader, and putting it back there, sure. Less target, looks to be a really, really fast feed system, and the fact that you're feeding through a tube would mean a relatively consistent feed path, and the fact that you can also stack that tube with paint, which means you could have very, very consistent rate of fire because that tube is feeding up and isn't being depleted fast enough that the hopper can't feed. So that looks to be a good innovation. With that said, you're still stuck with the conundrum of, it's basically a TM series body and a Milsim stock with an integrated Z2 loader. Other than the magnesium, there's nothing else. There's nothing you couldn't buy that wouldn't be off-the-shelf parts. I actually just went and priced that out at Badlands just to prove a point. I could pick up a brand new TM7. They were $389. A Z2 was, I think, $204. Or if I went with a die rotor, which probably would be my choice. I like the profile of the rotor a little better than the Spire personally. That would actually save me $50. So I'd be looking at, with a Z2, it was $594, or with a rotor, if I got one of the not one of the die cameras, it's up over $200. But if I got one of the other rotors that was at $165, I'm down to $550, and I have the same performance as the Defender, which, like I said, it's the same platform with, like I said, just the Milsim rails, the stock, and the integrated Z2. So, from my standpoint, one, I don't have $1,300. Well, I've got the money. I've got money in my bank account, but at the same time, I can't see the value at a $1,300 price point in that gun. Could I see the value in, say, taxes in $800, maybe $850? Sure. I realize that you got to come up with a way to route everything, and you have R&D in designing that bullpup design and everything else. Sure, I have no problem with that. At $1,300, it just seems like they're gouging people, plain and simple. So I just kind of wanted to touch on that. So, that's my video for today. So, like I said, a little bit about World Cup and who I'm going to be watching. Like I said, my initial thoughts on the Empire Defender. If I ever get a chance to shoot one, which I'm sure someone will probably show up with one at the field at some point, then I'll give it a quick. I'll borrow it if I'm allowed to. I'll see if I can give it a quick run over the chrono. Throw a pod through it. Do the semi-auto, 3-round burst, full auto, see how quick it can dump paint, and then just sort of give a more educated thought on it. But for now, just looking at the first impressions, I can't see it being a starter. I don't think that Empire is going to make money on this, especially if people are really thinking critically about it and realizing that, hey, it's a TM7 or TM15 with a Z2. I'll just buy them separately, and the only innovation in there is the fact that I don't have a hopper sticking out. Well, to me, just because you integrated the loader into the gun doesn't mean it's worth another, would be nearly $800 over buying the parts separately. Anyways, that's my video for today, guys. Talk to you later. Bye.